Taking these off today.
Give it to me like.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, welcome to another video on my channel. I wanted to use the tornado bit, but it's too strong for what I'm doing today. We're just going to do a quick removal of the top. So I'm just going to take the top layer off, and we're going to do a design change. So since St. Paddy's Day is over and we're fully into spring and the Easter long weekend, we're going to test out, we're going to do a SnakeSkin tutorial, tortoise shell tutorial, and just change this design. Instead of my tornado bit, which I would use if I was going to take a lot of the bulk down, I'm just going to use this. This is my 5-in-1. It's like a medium grit, and let's remove the top of these. Okay, so that's pretty much all I needed to do. I've cleaned them up, pushed back the cuticles. I'm just filing off a little bit of the black that's still left on some of the free edge here. And really I'm just going to use, I'm going to base coat. And if there's any sort of ridge that needs to be, or infill that's needed, I'll backfill those nails. But for the most part, they're pretty good and they're ready for a new design. So I am going to start with my Kirsty Meakin primer because I love this stuff. So I'm just going to put it on each of my nails. And then we'll move on to, it's going to be a quick backfill because not all of my nails actually need it. So for the rest of the video, what we're going to do today is we're going to be testing out a couple of designs. So initially I wanted to do a snake design, so like a SnakeSkin pattern. So some of them turned out a little snake skinny, and then some of them turned out a little bit tortoise shelly. I don't know, it just reminded me of a tortoise shell. So we'll play a couple different ways. We'll do it a couple different ways. I'll show you some of the mistakes I made along the way. And we'll take a look at the final results of the SnakeSkin / tortoise shell pattern. And you can do this with any colors, but you'll see some of the difference between the dark as the backdrop and the light as the backdrop. Okay? So I'm just finishing up with the primer here. Now, when she does this, she only primes the natural nail, but I like to do the whole nail, and I cap the free edges and just make sure that the edges on my sidewalls, that everything sort of has a little bit of primer on it so that our next coat can stick. Amazing. Okay. So I'm going to use my Young Nails base gel with my brush. Okay, so I'm just, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a coat of this. On all of the nails, and then I'm going to cure. So I don't need a lot because the nails are pretty good. I'm just changing up the design. Right. And honestly, this should be enough to keep them until I have to do them again. Okay. So again, just taking a little bit. So I'm really just starting with like a slip layer, but a fairly thick slip layer. And for most of my nails, this is actually enough to just seal in, you know, any of that exposed natural nail at my cuticle. So I'm going to do this to the rest of them. I think all of them are okay except for one of them. I believe it's this one here. So it has a little bit of a deeper divot. Do I? What do you think? Like that one could use a little more. But like the other ones are totally fine, I think. Right? Like that's the only one that might. Remember, the whole purpose of this is just to make sure that the nails have some structure and strength. Most of them were good, and I am just doing like a quick change of the design on top, but we want to make sure that the structure is still there. So this one needed a little bit of, you know, an apex, a little more of an apex, and the cuticle to flow properly. Okay. And we should be good for all of them, I think. Let's just make sure. Right? Yeah. Okay. So now we're just going to cure that. And then we'll move on to doing the next hand. So we'll put our gel away. Okay. So I'll do this hand off camera. And again, they're pretty good. I might need a little on that one maybe, but the other ones are fine if I just put a nice top coat and then we'll paint over them. Okay, so they're out of the lamp. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to, so it's the purple BG133. It's like it's a jelly, right? Like a jelly purple. So I'm going to start with my thumb. And when I do this, I use two different, I guess, techniques to paint my nails. Sometimes I start at the center and then I push up to the cuticle so that you can do that really nice, neat cuticle line, and then I pull down. And then sometimes I like to start at the cuticle. I don't know why I choose each at any given time. I can mess both of them up, and I can use both of the techniques to do a really clean looking nail. So now one thing I did notice with this, so this is a very like runny gel. I'm putting a little bit too much pressure, so I'm getting a little bit too many streaks, which is why I ended up going over with a second coat. I didn't really need to do that because the design we're putting on the nail, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered if it was a bit streaky. The design totally covers. This is just literally the canvas. This is the base color is our canvas. And I kind of like the one coat better than the two. The two comes out a little too dark. And you don't need a lot of pressure with these gels. Just float it over a nail. We're going to finish off here, do the rest of my nails, make sure I clean up around the cuticles, any mistakes, and then we'll get into our design. So once we're done cleanup, every time I record something, I start with so. We're gonna have so in this video like 50 million times, I think. I'm gonna test my first snakeskin design on a wet layer. Okay. So 2 coats. I was testing out how well it bloomed on the purple color, and it doesn't bloom so good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little more on my palette here, and we're gonna try it again. But this time I'm gonna put a top coat on. Okay, here we're gonna do a layer of top coat on the cured nails. So I'm just painting one generous layer of top coat. The more you put, you don't want to make it too thick, obviously, but the more saturated your nail with the top coat, the better the bloom actually turns out. So I don't really figure that out until my other hand, because my other hand started to, actually, I shouldn't say that. This hand ends up being more of a snakeskin pattern. So if you want less of a bloom, put a thinner coat of top coat. So I know I'm going over it a zillion times here, but it actually is a thinner layer. So I'm just taking a little bit of the color on my palette with my dotting tool, and I'm just dropping those dots in sort of like a pattern. So I just did 4 dots up the center, and then I do dots within the spaces of each on either side. So you can see already this is starting to bloom a little better. On the first nail that I did not do the top coat. I did it on a wet layer of the gel polish, and it didn't go anywhere. So blooming gel or a top coat, you can get the same effect. So this is my first nail, and you can already see that it's blooming and it's looking very pretty. It's looking like the snakeskin that I want. Now, depending on how large you want your pattern to be or how small you want your pattern to be, pick your dotting tool accordingly. I used a bit of a smaller dotting tool, so you can see that as I'm dropping that polish, it's not blooming too much, right? So here I'm going to move on to the third nail. So because it's a top coat and it's a clear top coat, I decided just to paint all of the nails and then go in with my dotting tool and continue with my pattern on each of the nails. And then as I'm progressing and I'm looking back at them now, you can see that my first ones are a little stronger, and then as I get along, they start to get a little weaker. Make sure you have enough gel. Okay. So I saved the thumb. I went over it with the top coat, and then I just did the dots again. You can kind of see the ones underneath, but I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. So I'm going to use my Russian Top Gel, and I'm going to top coat these. So this is my the brush I use for a clear top coat so that I don't get it messy with, you know, any of the other gels. I'm trying to separate all my brushes. Okay. So this top coat is very runny, but it's thick. So I keep thinking it's thin or wanting to say that it's thin, but it's not. It's very runny, but it cures beautifully. It's actually nicely, like, it's got a nice consistency. It's a thick top coat, and it makes them really shiny, and you don't even have to wipe off a sticky layer. So really love this stuff. And this brush, I love this brush because it's my special top coat brush. Okay, so just continuing on, I'm going to cover all these nails, cap my free edges. I'm going to cure, and then I'm going to move on to the next hand.
Just sealing in the design. Then we'll decide if we want to matte or just leave it as is. And then I'll do the other hand off camera and I'll come back and show you
the tortoise shell design on our other hand. So we're going to cure this.
But I am thinking about maybe reversing the colors. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to try the other color on the other hand. So I'm going to put purple here. And we're going to just top coat these. So again, I'm using this is just an old top coat. Guys, honestly, this hand is such a freaking pain in the ass. It's okay. We're gonna try. Let's just try it on this one first. Okay, so I'm gonna do. Oh my God, honestly.
You want a steady surface for your nail when you're doing this, especially if you're using your non-dominant hand. So I'm just dropping the dotting tool into my glob of gel polish on my palette, and then I'm dropping those dots into the uncured top coat. I put more gel polish so you can see right away that it's actually spreading, it's blooming.
This hand. Stresses me out. But that looks cool.
So already you can tell that it's blooming totally differently than the other hand. At least it looks completely different than the other hand. I'm not sure if it's the light background that's giving it more of like a tortoise shell appearance, but like this thumb reminds me of the back of a turtle, right? So snakeskin pattern, more so on the dark backdrop, but on the light backdrop, completely
I like
tortoise
it.
shell.
So a little different. I'm going to cure this and then we'll do the rest. So I just want to hold that and then I'll do the rest and I'll come back. We're going to stick with shiny today. And I might top coat after, but for the purpose of the video, we will stick with a shiny top coat. Okay. So I did flip it on now, but it's okay. I don't know which one I like best. These are really cool because they pop, but then these are cool because they're more subdued. So I did use my Russian top coat. I love this stuff. This is amazing. And then this is what we used. So we just used the jelly purple and the jelly pink nude as the base. Like maybe I shouldn't have done 2 coats, so it wasn't so dark on that side, but yeah. Okay, here we go. I also used, of course, Kirsty Meakin and base gel, Young Nails. And then, of course, my two brushes for top coat and for base coat. And there we go. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. This is just going to tie me over until I do another set, and I think I'm going to try the dual forms. So finished nails. We've got our tortoise shell and our snakeskin on the dark background. I did see that I started to lose some of the purple on the pink ones, on the tortoise nails, as I got to the last ones. So just make sure you got a nice thick amount of gel polish on your palette. The more saturated your dotting tool, the more that pattern's going to come through. And you could go over them again. I could have gone over the purple ones again with the light, and I probably should have. But I think they're cute. I think they would look amazing in a full set. But for now, I'm going to keep one dark purple, one light purple as my new nail design until I do these nails again. So thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for watching. To Shadow Diane, your gift is in the mail. And I hope you like them. And I'll see you guys next time.